Welcome back, it's your Lousy Florida Traveler. Today's video is more going to be to guide you toward a video that's on one of my other channels. I had put some of these videos on those channels, like this one here at Hampton Springs. Before I started this channel, I'd put them on my gardening channel. So in saying that, I can't transfer it. Eventually we will do another video for this one. But till then, I'm going to try to put a link that you can click on and go to that video. However, today's video is more going to be based towards seeing what's around Hampton Springs. I know there's some other things that existed here. Never really thought about videoing that. It's in my own hometown, but kind of got an inspiration. Like so many of you, I go to watching people on YouTube and they're off on these trails, and it don't matter if it's 9 at night, I get motivated. I'm thinking, well, I need to get a flashlight and a machete and go check out and see what's around some of them places. So not looking to copy that or none of that, just looking, I always scope these places out, just never thought of sharing that part with you. I do plan on starting to do some of that a little bit. So it'll be part of our traveling tour. There's supposed to be some spaces around here where there's some hot springs or hot tubs from the motel area that's hidden on here. I haven't been to them in years. They may have fell over into the Rocky Creek. I'm not sure, but the whole Highway 98, when you're coming in here, used to run a different direction. That bridge and culverts used to stick up down here. So we're gonna walk today and just see what we see, you know. Come on, let's take a little trip. So if you do come down here to do your little bit of trail walking in this area, there's a couple that's down here that's paid to look after the park. Very, very friendly couple. If you'll stop and ask them, I did, and they told me all about the little trail and what it consisted of. So if you see them in here, stop and speak to them. Tell them I sent you, the Lousy Florida Traveler or Florida Gardener. They're familiar with our channel. We're gonna cross over on this man-made bridge here to get over and access our trail. Before you watch this, click on the link that I'm gonna share and go to the other channel and watch about what the Hampton Springs Hotel was. This is the Rocky Creek. Flows into the Finn Holloway, which then flows into the Gulf of Mexico. Beautiful oak trees around us. Palmettos, palms, down here to the trailhead. I guess that's the terminology they use. I never called it hiking. I guess that's what it is. But when I was growing up, it was mostly hog hunting. So we can see a trail that way, and we can see a trail that way. So we're gonna go this way. Looking back at where we just come from at the park. Let's slip down here and see. Being careful to watch for snakes as we go. We are on the edge of a swamp and a riverbank. Looks like it gets a little bit lower up there. Maybe that's a little creek or something. Palmetto growing. See if we can zoom it out. You want to talk about a relaxing day? I can see why them guys enjoy doing these types of videos. Let's see here. Oh, look at them trees. That's a big old tree. You can see this here, kind of a slough. Hangs back toward the river. Little brick laying there. We might come back later and walk that slough. The size of these oaks in here, that's just massive. Growing up and hunting in these woods, I'd never really appreciated that. Let's slip on up here. Look like the trail's used pretty good. Now, the park official did tell me that they had a lot of people down in here yesterday. So. And you know, out in this area, I kind of like it because you see things like what's naturally fell and you can see it's rotted. It's not tidy like a garden or a botanical garden you go to, which is beautiful in itself, but it's just so much nicer when you're actually out where everything that falls stays. It just becomes back part of the environment, breaks down, compost. And that's what feeds the plants. If you follow the gardening channel, you'll see we're heavily into learning and experimenting about garden composting. And, you know, here, this is the natural way it happens. Wow, I just never realized there were so many beautiful oaks in this area. Different. Just never stopped to really pay them attention. Now up here, the trail is supposed to split. I was advised to stay on public property. You needed to stay to the left. Park attendant said this would take us there, and it looks like it's kind of running down the edge of the river bank. Another old fallen rotten tree. Let's see what we see. You know, when we see these palm trees at motels and things, they are beautiful. They're all out by themselves, but I don't know. It's a little different when you see them out in the wild, in the woods, just growing, living in its own natural habitat. You can see most of the dead stuff on that one laying on the ground. Mother Nature kind of takes care of its own. Not sure what this is. Somebody has carved something in a tree. Don't know what the purpose of that is. We're gonna ease on here. I mean, in these traveling episodes, we do off and walk trails. Off and walk trails. It's a way you can see Florida in a way that you never have, or Georgia. It don't matter where you go. Look at that pine. See that crook in it? You get around these pines, it's hard to imagine how much pine straw, just a few pines put off. You see all that pine straw matted on the ground. And in this general direction that I'm seeing here, we have 1, 2, 3, about 6 pines. And you can see the trail is well matted with pine straw. So we're gonna keep easing forward. Let's see what we see. You know, when you're out on these trails, you do have to pay attention to. There's some dead trees, different things. It's not like a state park or botanical park. Boy, that's a big old hill. You reckon that was? Big old hill. Looks like the trail kind of goes up it. Wonder if this was part of the old Highway 19. You can see a creek beside it there. See that creek down there? Kind of flows that way. I don't know, it seems kind of like a road bed. You can see it's higher than everything around us. Let's ride through here. And walk through. Oh, I think I see the bridge. Oh. Let's see here. Okay, that's the old crab house. You know, there was a crab house that was on this river too. So that's the pilings and trestles for the bridge that you're looking at here and here. Look over there, you see a doorway. I wonder if we can get to that on the other side. You see pieces of concrete. Yeah, I think we're going to try to come to that from the other side of the river. So we have found the old bridge trestle. I think what I was confusing is there's another one down off of on 98 on the other side. Maybe I was mistaking a memory for there. But I want to try to get on the other side of the river and see if we can find a trail that comes to this crab house. I've heard of this crab house many times over the years, never actually been to it, but now I'm intrigued. So let's back up and see what we come up with. Check it out before we go back around the other way. I think we got time. But now that I've seen that crab house, I can't help but to look at the side of that damn pine tree. Got a growth in it. It's amazing it's made it that long. Growing right up there. Let's get up here a little closer and try not to get on a snake or fall in the river. Kind of looks like the old crab house has just fell in on itself. We're going to try to get over there, and if we can't, we're definitely going to have to make a trip back. Let's go check out this other spot we seen on the trail a while ago. Let's see what we see. Who knows? Look at that big old tree laying in the dirt. Laying in the brush. You can tell this trail's been well maintained. Yeah, that's what it is. It's where the river comes back around. Let's slip over there and get a view before we go around. And we may not can get to it legally from the other side, but we're gonna see. Nice little open spot right here on the Rocky Creek. Used to have an uncle and an aunt that lived on this side of this creek. Actually, coincidentally, just put the aunt, Aunt Maxine, just passed. Uncle years ago, he used to talk about the history of our county, and boy, he had seen it. I mean, he lived down on the Lousy for years and growed up, lived on the Finn Holloway before the pollution from our local paper mill and lumber companies. Oh, check that out. Look at this creek. Now, somewhere up this creek is going to be a freshwater spring. You see that water flowing out of there? Flows out, flows down, flows into the river. Now you can't smell it, but I can smell it. A lot of sulfur in that water. So we might do that on another video. We might come back and try to chase some of these and see where they go. You can't hardly have a bad time at a place like this. Traveling's supposed to be about having fun, a good time, safe, but a good time. Just kind of check a few spots on our way back with this creek. Yeah, I'm more intrigued today by that old fell down crab house. I don't know why, but let's see if we can slip back around there. In hindsight, if we back up and look, you can see our highway trestles in the river, and they come right up. I think we assumed right this hill that we found a while ago was part of the original road bed. Now, also what I believe this tells us, if you look at the location of that bridge and where the highway was versus the crab house, I would guess it would tell us that crab house was built well after this bridge was abandoned, because unless it just made a sharp curve right there on the water, I don't know. But you know, looking at the way the crab house is positioned straight behind the bridge trestle. It's probably been 15, 20 years since I've been in this area, never this far on this side. But what he told me rings true. And even though it's down, you know that you're coming into some private property. Now, as you can see here, you don't see a whole lot just glancing. But if you're paying attention, when you get to right here, you're going to see some fence. Now, I don't see any signs, but it's not good sense without knowing for sure of crossing a fence. So we may or may not still be on county property. I don't like to push it on private landowners, individual private landowners. I don't like to trespass. I'll say that again so in future videos you understand and you don't say what you said. I don't like to trespass on private individuals' personal property. All others are fair game. So we're going to cross back over the creek and see if we can find our way down it. Just kind of a little heads up, you're not going to hear me talking a whole lot. I'm going to be pointing and I'm going to be putting some stuff in. The reason for that, from what I've looked up, I do believe we're safe, but this borders to some hunting club property. I've had some dealings with that. I've had some pretty tricky situations with them, and I found the easiest way, even if you're in the ride, is just be quiet where you don't even have to intertwine with them. Some of them you deal with okay, others you deal with, they think they the Johnny Sheriff of the woods. So I just wanted to give you a little heads up. That's why you're going to not hear me talking a whole lot. You're just trying to practice avoid. So let's cross on over this bridge and see what we can come up with. So we're going to slip around right here. I do want to interact. Once again, I just try the act of avoiding it. So if you see me being quiet and stuff, it ain't always that I know I'm trespassing. So the less problems, the less encounter of people you have, I found the less problems you have. So let's slip around there and see what we come up with. We're going to try to go in around where this ferry ramp is. This is where the ferry used to come in, just to give you a little location here where you're at. Over there's where the pool is, the bridge crossing the river. Up there's where you come in and you park. So let's spin around right here. We're gonna try to ease down the creek right here and see if we can find a trail. My thoughts is, as many people as the woman told me has been coming down here, we're probably not gonna be the first ones that's hiked down the edge of this river. So let's go see if we can find a way that's passable and just try to slip along the river. I do see a post here with a cable on it. So I guess that might be the end of the route. Yep. We can't cross that cable. And there is a trail. Definitely is a trail. Hey, a while ago when we come down here, we went to the left on this trail. This time we're gonna slip to the right and see what we find. This side is not well traveled, I don't believe, like that side. Hog tracks and hog ruts. I'm sure some hogs have been here. You see where they've rooted up around the edges. All out there. I mean, this is pretty land. A lot of lowland here. You can tell a lot of hog activity. Now somebody's been in here cleaning up at some point. You can tell that log was cut off of this trail with a chainsaw. I mean, if you've never seen Florida from this point of view, you just don't know what you're missing. You just don't know. You can see this slough's getting wetter. Now, let me tell you something right here. Some of you may know this, some of you may not. You see that little spot right there? That's a hog waller. For those of you that may not know what that is, a hog waller is where they come to lay and get cool. They'll waller there, get the mud all over them, helps fight bugs, insects, things such as that. Let's slip back up this other side. We're not in a full-on let's stomp through the water today. Because it's about 23 degrees right now. Hog sign everywhere. Everywhere. And it's just everywhere. You don't get much prettier than that in the swamp. So we'll definitely be over the next while. We'll definitely be more and more coming down here and doing some videoing. Now, what happened to it, I'm not sure, but from what I'm seeing here, that is another piece of raised section of dirt. The piece we walked on earlier continues right over there and goes on. So I'm assuming that that is also part of the original raised bed. We're gonna make a little swoop over there, and then I think that's gonna wind us up on this side of the river. I just want to get over here and get a little closer look. And it makes me want to do some research and figure out when the location of 98 was changed. There's another spot, and we can't get it anymore due to hunting club, but on further down 98 in the Cabbage Grove area, out in the middle of the woods, concrete bridge with trees and plants growing on it that crosses the river and no road running up to it no more. That also was originally part of the original 98. I would guess that this is part of that same road bed on its location and direction, the way it's oriented and raised up. I would guess this is also part of that. We just run off a bullhog. Yeah, we'll definitely come back. I want to try to get on the other side and do a little bit of research over on the other side of the hotel. So I'm on limited time today. We're going to slip back around now. Maybe we'll see what we just spooked up. If I hadn't been talking, we probably could have eased right up on it. It is what it is. We're going to try to ease back around here to the river. You can see we have gotten off the trail, which was probably not the best idea. Oh, cypress knee. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here and see if we can find the trail in. Because I was told at one time, supposedly, that's where the train came in to service the hotel. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. This spot for years, when this place sat abandoned, was a favorite swimming spot of the locals. I actually grew up coming down here with my sisters. My mama used to let us come down here. Back in the day, you could get a permit, driving permit for your truck. Even if you didn't have a license, you get an off-road as long as you didn't cross a highway. So I used to bring my sisters, and we used to come down here swimming. And then throughout my teenage years, I come down here partying. And that is the experience of a lot of local people. If you've never researched this Hampton Springs, even if you do watch some other videos, you should do a little research on it. It played a major role in not just Perry, but Florida, through the mineral springs and the belief of healing powers. And it don't just go back to the Hampton Springs area. They chose this spot based on the tale of what the Indians had told them. So it goes quite a ways back, their belief in the healing power. It didn't just start with the white man. And this Rocky Creek is a beautiful, beautiful river. If you're into kayaking, you can't put in here at the park, but there is a spot on 98 that you can put in. Very, very beautiful scenic route. You can see the water doesn't move too fast most of the time. Really worth the trip. I don't really see a designated trail, but I see a little bit of an opening right there. We're gonna walk right there and see what that is. What we got here? This is a creek. Now, I don't know for sure if this had anything to do with it, but if you watch that Hampton Springs Hotel movie video I did, you'll see where I showed you the boiler room was. And this is coming from that general direction. You see it flowing right out to the river. It's flowing right out to that river and dumping in. And it's no wonder the Indians made such a home of it themselves too. You had plenty of water. You're not very far from the Gulf in their day. So, I said, it's 20-something degrees, even with water boots on, I just ain't stomping through there today. And you can see it goes way back up in there. So we got plenty to explore here. We'll make some more trips here. So what we're gonna do now for today, just cause I just don't want to stomp through that water, we're gonna ease back down that creek we just found and see how many access points we can get and just see what we can see. At another point, we may come back down here and track right down the center of it when it's a little warmer. So let's just slip down it. Now, I would like to believe that creek's natural, but here and there all along it, I'm seeing piles of dirt, such as this one behind me. Now that may not have nothing to do with that. For years, people just dump trash down here. That may be part of that they just pushed over to the side when they cleaned this up. I don't know. It very well could be what that is. Let's try to slip up here. I see where somebody's walked up it. Let's see what we see. I do see a lot of beer bottles, and styrofoam plates. So this may not be what they dug out of that creek. That creek may actually be natural, I don't know. I see beer bottles, pieces of concrete. Lots of pieces of concrete. Trying not to get on no snake. This would be an ideal spot for one to be laying in the sun. I'm starting to believe this was probably pushed up here when they cleaned the park. Only reason being, there's no big trees growing out of it. No big cabbages, no big anything. It's all smaller stuff, so I don't believe this was dug out of that creek, but I could be wrong. We're gonna slip on back down it. And also, I haven't noticed a dirt pile on the other side of the creek. So in the time when they'd dug this, it's probably been by hand. Just seems the reason they'd have been dirt on both sides of the creek, but I could be wrong. Let's see, let's go down here and see if we can find another access. Now here ain't really a trail, but I think I seen some concrete pillars over there. I'm not sure that that's what that is, but if you look right through there, so let's slip over and see if we can find a way in there and see what that is. It is. It's concrete of some sort. Sitting here. Clean all the shit off of all the stuff off there. Concrete piers of some sort. I see two of them there. Definitely a good place for a snake. Just out here in the middle of nowhere. Two of them. Well, wait a minute. There's two more over there. Let's see here. If I can get you in there. There's one there. And then it's kind of hard to see, but on the other side of that cabbage tree, there's one right there. We'll definitely have to come back and look at that a little harder. Let's see what we see. Okay, now there's some kind of steel pipe sticking out of the ground. I don't know if you can see that, but over there, there's a steel pipe sticking out of the ground with a cap on it. And now that I'm looking, let me show you something else I just found. These are the original two that we spotted when we came in, that drawed us in here. Over here's the other two I showed you. Over there's the pipe I just showed you. Right here in front of me at the base of this tree. You see it right there? That's also concrete. So there was definitely something right here. We'll definitely be checking back into that. And I'm gonna do a little history before we come back too, a little more in depth. Just to kind of familiarize you where we at. Up there's where we came in and we parked. The bathrooms and the little shed. We walked down through here. We crossed that bridge, and the first place we went where we seen the old bridge trussels and the crab house was down on that side of the river that way. We came back around and tried to go this way to go to the crab house. It was cabled off. Then we walked back and I showed you the old swimming hole. We walked over and found that little creek, and all the spots we've hit since then has been right down through there. So we're making our way back toward the parking lot. We're just slipping off, scoping extra parts that we're going to come back later and do when it's not so cold and we got so much time. So we're going to slip up here. The boiler room used to be at the end of this sidewalk, and that creek's running the same way. I don't know that the two tied together, but we're going to slip back up there and see if we can find a way in, see what we see. A lot of things to think about when you're on these trails. You don't want to be iffy and be taking guesses. I try not to trespass. You definitely don't want to get down here and get in trouble in these places. So if in doubt, it's time to turn around and pull out. That big old tree limb. We're not going to walk over there. Looks like the limb is pretty well settled, but you never know, and that's a pretty big limb to be twisting over. So we're not going to walk over there. Now, for those of you that watched the video and that you've looked at pictures, you know this was the main aisleway, walkway, sidewalk on the hotel, leading to everything. That is one big limb. Of course, that is one big tree too that we're looking at here. And there's wildlife all around me. I don't know if you can hear it on this phone or not, but there's wildlife everywhere. You can hear the birds, the squirrels jumping. It's just a pretty peaceful place here. That brings us to the end of our trip for today. We're going to be back out here. I'll probably make a file folder in here specifically for this place because it is in my hometown. There's so much here to see. To be completely honest with you, the few things that I showed you today, I actually knew were here. The reason why I come down here, I've often been interested in trail hiking, I guess you'd call it. When I was growing up, we didn't call it that around these woods. We just went out in the woods as buddies if we was drinking, partying, hog hunting, fishing, whatever. My wife has showed some interest in hiking. She wants to hike. She's been watching some of these YouTube videos with me. And my wife has health problems. This would be a good starting point for somebody like that. So I actually came here today so that I could scope it out and do a little bit of because I hadn't been down here on these trails probably 25 years. So I wanted to scope it out a little bit before I brought her down here. This is a really good spot. It's not all level, it's not just torrential. So if you're interested in hiking and you'd like a little spot just to go check out, this is it. Like I say, talk to the people that you see down here, the couple. They're very friendly. They'll guide you right, tell you a few things that's going on down here and what's here. And just remember, if you come across the fence or anything like that or a cable, don't go across there. You're on private property. We look forward to many more videos like this. Most of our videos are still going to be about travel, but we're going to get into some hiking. Hopefully it'll be me and my wife hiking. It may just be me. We're going to try it out and see where we go. Anyhow, I hope y'all had fun today. I hope it piqued your interest. Really enjoyed today. Thank y'all for traveling along with me. I guess we'll see you next time, and we'll take a little trip.